Saw the Kappa again today. You were begging me to stay. Take your nuts and make me answer. 'Cause if I do, we both will disappear.
Dreams, life, where did they come from? Where did they go? Such feelings. Alright, looks like it's time for me to start playing this garbage again. See what the new update has in store for us.
The first update added a sound test.
No point in there.
The second update added some birthday scheme decorations and more collectibles. The third update added new playable characters and an extra chapter in the story.
Well, that's actually something.
Great. Alright, so what else is new? Well, apparently you can upgrade your speed and ring stats instantly now. And you can keep a boost going after you jump. And you can disable a cutscene that plays when you get max rings. Alright, so we're getting insanely close to Sonic Frontiers being a good game. Great, how are they gonna screw it up? Whoops, turned on the birthday decorations. That'll get obnoxious quickly. And while I'm disabling the birthday junk, I think I'll also turn on the soap shoes. Okay, let's go. I don't know how, but when I was running around the island trying to find the world to another story, I was actually having some amount of real fun. Like, it's not as good as any other Sonic game, but I was actually enjoying myself. Is that the thing? Is the game actually fun when you're not doing some terrible minigame or trying to collect a million little things to progress? Is it actually a good game at its core, just weighted down by hours upon hours of needless padding? Well, let's not question that, because I found the giant ring. Going in starts a cutscene where Sage says there's a way to save everyone, even though we already did. Basically, Sonic needs to cyber-psychode himself again, and his friends need to find the emeralds. His friends, by the way, are still trapped between dimensions. It's a stupid idea that doesn't make any sense, but it's worth it because Robotnik calls out the series on its crappy storytelling.
Please, no tedious speeches about the superpower of teamwork.
And so begins another story where you play as each of 3 friends that you saved across the main game to find the emeralds. And first up, Amy Rose. She can whack things with her hammer, except she doesn't have a giant hammer, and she uses cards. Show of hands, who here remembers that one brief period where Amy was a tarot nut? Oh look, I found her vault. It's empty. Here's a map challenge. I'm not entirely sure this one's even possible. I tried for like 10 minutes straight before giving up. It took me a while to figure out where the next vault even was. It's in this cave, and there wasn't anywhere above it that I could drop down. Also, the vault is empty again. Then I have to talk to the Elder Coco, who is just outside the cave. Now I've got to find the Hermit Coco. He's just across this chasm. Doesn't seem too hard, just go over these floating platforms. She can't climb up walls. Alright, but she can double jump and she can float, so it shouldn't take too long to find a way across. Well, you'd be surprised. Just about every point that I could get to was either too low or too far away from where the Hermit Coco was for me to actually glide over there. Although that one's on me because right behind the Elder Coco there were some easy platforms to get there. Alright, now that we found the Hermit Coco, it's back to finding the emeralds. To get to this one, you need to do this crazy platforming segment that involves hitting switches that spawn balloons for a brief few seconds each that you can use the homing attack on. Problem is, I unlocked Amy's card attack, which is mapped to the same button as the homing attack, and stops all your momentum when you use it, so you can't just spam the Y button like you normally can. Also, I lied. That giant thing just gives you a red seed. What you're actually supposed to do is get on this pink thing and homing attack these cannonballs. A great idea, ruined by the gosh darn card attack. At the very least, that vault has an emerald, meaning it's over, you're done with Amy. Now it's Knuckles' turn. And no, I'm not singing 46 and 2. His part starts with these weird structures that have a spring at the end. Then there's a mini-boss, the Spider Plus, which I have to skip for now because Knuckles can't flex his exposed muscles right now. Anyway, our mission is to destroy an impact form, which is situated up there. To get there, you have to get on a spring down here, but I missed it and got stuck. Game design. And I feel like I have to preface this whole thing by saying the gameplay was recorded and the script was written back when the update was first released. Apparently there have been a bunch of patches that have come out since. This part might have been fixed in one of them. After unlocking the ability to punch, which also boots you back to the last checkpoint, I tried again and made it through what really felt like pure cheese. I destroyed the impact form, and hey, look at that, a Coco. Alright, next one. Gotta climb up here somehow. Problem is, just about every path that seems to lead up there breaks at some point. What you're actually supposed to do is go over to this brand new structure and climb up it. I think Force has caught some flack for pulling shenanigans like that. Now it's time for the Chaos Emerald.
First off, even just knowing where to go is an issue in and of itself. There's a marker, sure, but it shows that the emerald is way up there in the sky. For a long time I was trying to use these grind wheels, and by the way, it's pretty hard to jump up the spiral one properly. It wasn't even the right way. And the structure you're actually supposed to use? What the hell am I looking at? Alright, the whole thing's made up of climbable walls. Great. Lasers and cannons. Great. Zero ground. Great. You get hit once and you're dead. Great. How do you even get to the top anyway? Lasers are covering the entire top half of the structure and you can't cycloop anything on a wall. Well, turns out if you position yourself just right, you can homing attack one of the cannons and get to the top of the structure. Thing is, you still can't cycloop the treasure chest. The purples just don't react to it. And you don't get enough height to just glide to the vault. Figured I was just going the wrong way and kept searching for another path, but nothing came up. Eventually, I unlocked a new move, the Sign Knuckle. That's actually what you use for the purple chests, and it also works on the ones on the walls. Great, and I'll be able to get the emerald, except this move can only be used a few times before you have to charge it back up. You only get 4 uses on a full meter, and then you have to charge it back up with the scant few rings scattered around the structure. And I'm pretty sure there aren't enough rings on it. So you can't just hit all the chests in one go, and they revert when you die, so you just have to remember which one is which. Fantastic. But at the very least, after you get to the emerald, Knuckles' part is over, and I can stop editing the lateralist man under the video for a bit. Now, it's the dog's turn to unlock the vaults we've found. Alright, first up, Tails can fly. What a shock, he has this one signature ability from all the way back in Sonic 2. However, it works more like it does in Heroes, where he can only go up a certain distance before hanging there until he passes out. I get that truly free flight would be a hassle to get working in a 3D space, but if you can't get it to work, then don't bother with the character. Okay, so we have to ride these fans, and they are some of the most finicky things in the world. The camera should pan down and zoom out during things like this, but it doesn't, and you're supposed to deal with it when some of these fans are at an angle. Whatever, it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. Anyway, after you activate the first Coco device, the second one is something, alright. You see those balloons? If you hit one, you get shot up to that trick rating and you have to start the segment over. And these things are everywhere. The spring you have to take to get to the next platform is surrounded by these things. Okay, so just fly over them. Not a big deal. But if you fly over them, you won't be able to fly after hitting the spring, and you won't get enough height to get to the next platform. What you have to do is nail this really precise jump to go behind the balloons, then hit the spring, then start flying. Then, after you land on these higher platforms, you have to squeeze in between these balloons and land on one of the 2 platforms up there. And then you have to jump off this grind rail and as far out as you can so you can fly into this green shuttle thing that puts you onto this platform. After that, there's no way getting in there, so you go around and you get to... What? Yeah, there's no getting in there. Maybe it's possible if you fly into the balloons, catch yourself before you fall too far, and then fly in before the balloons respawn, but that's way too difficult and the stakes are a bit too high for this to be part of a Sonic game. I looked it up, and apparently the game expects you to unlock the ability to throw wrenches, which means you have to find one of these Cocos with a backpack containing skill chips, because none of the newly playable characters start with the Slight Group enabled. Once you get the wrench ability, Tails goes from being a dog to being a monkey, and the whole thing becomes a piece of cake, though I think it might have been a bit more effective to use those old dummy ring bombs. But still, locking progression behind gaining a new move seems a bit scummy when this hasn't happened at all in the main game except of the side loop. Same goes for Knuckles' part. What is up with this game? Well, after activating the second Coco device, Amy and Knuckles get their emeralds, and for some reason the jingle plays twice. Now it's time for Tails to get one, which you can basically just fly over to and drop on. But uh-oh, the Coco device that was guarding it just died out on us. Now we can't jack back into cyberspace. Or something. Now we're back to Sonic. So good to see you. I missed you so much. Though I have absolutely no clue why he's here, since I thought he locked himself in cyberspace. Whatever. Right now, we have to get to the 4 random towers that have a connection to the ancient pilots of the 4 Titans, except Supreme was never piloted by an ancient. This isn't about the story though, this is about the gameplay. And I've gotta say, this first tower is actually fun. It's like Raya Island on steroids. This thing is insanely difficult. Maybe a little too difficult for a series that in its infancy was considered too easy compared to its Italian rival. I'm also looking at this part right here. This tiny platform with 2 boost pads on it, and you need to cycle at the center of it. You have to stay on the platform, you can't stop, and you'd better hope that the first end connects to the other. I got it done once, made a stupid mistake immediately after, and never got it again. Thankfully, one of the updates made it so that easy mode heavily nerfs the towers in Raya Island, and it also works here. It just scatters a bunch of balloons all over the place so you can homing attack them. And now it's too easy. And actually, looking back at the footage, it seems like everything past that one part wouldn't have been too much of a hassle at all, but that one part was still there, and I was getting ready to hit the sack. and my meat. Okay, now that I'm on top of the tower, this ancient is yelling at me for destroying her precious Giganto. Now I've got 3 minutes to destroy these things. Easy enough, just apply some level use to the instant but I was tired, okay? Second time around, easy peasy. She forgives me because she can somehow figure out that I'm doing all this for my friends, and it's off to... I will find a center in you. I will chew it up and leave. Trust me, trust me. Why? Sonic Figures is still a f***ing collectathon. This game can't be fixed. It's trying to its very core. Sonic is dead. But I've still got to keep playing this garbage. Turns out there are more cyberspace stages now, and these things are tough. Maybe a little too tough. Like this one. You get 1 minute to beat it, and I swear to God, it felt like I was going around in circles the whole time. Also, I felt like the left stick was a bit off, so I switched to this third-party GameCube-style Pro Controller. It has a great left stick with an octagonal gate, and it has a giant A button, so of course the jump button is B. I switched back almost immediately and recalibrated the stick. Even after switching back to the Joy-Cons, this stage was still way too much for me, so I quit and found a Lookout Coco in a chest spot right beside the portal, and the next tower is open. This one's a lot more manageable, just breaking things and hitting switches, but a decent bit of the way up, a few boxes blew up in my face, and I fell all the way back down to the bottom. No big deal, just go back up. How do I get back up? Yeah, some of the things you have to homing attack to get higher up the tower don't respawn. That means you have to reload your save file to try again. What again? Alright, so this game is spoiler denied. Shocker, but I've still got to keep going. When you make it to the top, the guy who piloted the Wyvern talks about how his pride was smashed into pieces and has you take on these things. I don't think they showed up at any earlier point in the game. These guys hide in their shells and occasionally whip them out Speedwagon style. You can only hit them while they're out of their shell, and Cyclooping only gets them out for enough time to get in 1 or 2 hits. If you have 2 minutes to kill 4 of them, you'd be lucky to even take down 1 using traditional strategies. After failing a few times, I looked it up and found out you're actually supposed to bait them into attacking, then hit them a few times and parry their shells so they'll go back around, then keep doing that until each one is dead. See, after learning that, it was easy. And then I spent way too long trying to do this map challenge. I'm still not sure how you get up there. And actually, I'm gonna go off script here and talk more about this, because for whatever reason, this script that I wrote all those months back stopped talking about it right there. So, if you look at it, it looks pretty simple. Just climb up these blocks. Except these blocks are spaced pretty far apart, so you actually have to spin dash off of them, I think. But no matter what, no matter how many times I've tried, I never actually got high enough to even get to a high enough block that could even feasibly get me to where the part you're supposed to get to is, much less within the time limit. I'm pretty sure you're not even supposed to have Sonic to actually do this. I imagine this is meant for Tails, but I found it as Sonic, and I felt the need to mention it. Alright, back to Lookout Coco. On the way, I found this part from Amy's section. I also did this map challenge with these mirrors. It was kind of obnoxious, mostly because I thought you were supposed to hit every mirror, instead of just getting light into these tiny panels. After finishing it, that part of the map also showed me the way to another map challenge. Get from here to here in 6 seconds. Easy enough, just boost in a straight line, damn it. Alright, the spin dash is faster, just do it again. I was right there, come on! It took me 5 tries, but I got it, and there was another map challenge. This one was actually 5 parts. Blow out the candles, hit the switches, and build a tower. After that, what I thought was going to be another map challenge ended up being a mini-boss. I thought I was supposed to chase it, but I ended up just draining my rings. The cutscene told me what I was actually supposed to do. What you do is you cyclope the ghost base. So I climbed up this structure trying to find what I was supposed to cyclope, but it was actually at the very bottom where I activated the ghost, and it drained all my rings. Alright, for real this time. Activate the ghost, cyclope its base, now once we go higher. Alright, climb back up, do it again, and let's keep climbing. Another one, break it down, and I fell right afterwards. Climb all the way back up, I flubbed the last jump and got all my rings drained. Screw this, there was a Lookout Coco right beside me, the next tower was unlocked. This one is based around climbable walls. It's the easiest one by far, but it's also weird. It's the only one out of all the towers, both here and back on Rhea, where you actually go inside the tower itself for some extra variety. I like it. Finally, something good in this area. Once you get to the top, the answer that piloted that godforsaken knight says he wants to study you, so you have to fight these guys. These things were a pain in the behind back in the main campaign of Uranus because they got in the way and you couldn't avoid them if they caught you. But here in an arena situation, you have to fight them, so it's just easy. You just parry them, and they're done. Afterwards, I figured I'd drop all the way into the ocean. Why not? Now let's find another Spider Plus enemy. It's too fast to get a good Cyclope in, so I passed on it. Anyway, I found another cyberspace stage. I probably could have beaten this one, but the right Joy-Con was acting up again, and I needed to finish this quickly so I could study for my biology midterms. So I just searched for lookouts in the chest spots, and would you look at that? Final tower. This one's intense. It's got a heaping outfit of my favorite gimmick, fans. Fans, followed by trick shots on circular grind rails, followed by more fans, followed by switches, followed by different kinds of switches that you need to perform a quick cycle on. It took me way too long to realize that. Followed by springs you can't lock onto. Followed by millions of dumbfounded fish. This section alone took about an hour, and another story as a whole is only less than 4 hours so far. It went on so long that the left Joy-Con died and I had to switch back to the dreaded GameCube style controller. And you know what? I made a decent bit of progress with that tiny jump button, but even still, after a whole hour of trying, I still couldn't do it. When I saw this part, I knew I had to throw in the towel. I set it's easy mode, wrote the newly placed balloons, and still got Bennett Foddy. I got a 76% on that biology exam. I got it down after that though, and a brand new ancient started talking about how Supreme can never be defeated. Sure, bro. He decided to test my might by sending out another classic ninja enemy, only insanely fast. Holy moly, this might actually be a challenge. ZL. And that's all the towers. Sonic feels well again, as if he felt sick in the first place, and something is taking over everything on the island. We're back to playing as Amy. Alright, so we're back to collecting Cocos as Amy. Thankfully it's Starfall right now, and since Common has taken a break, the meteorites give you more Cocos instead. So it took a matter of seconds, and I had Salt the Elder and Hermit Cocos again. Getting to the Hermit was an issue though. It looks like this area was made with the light dash in mind, which none of the new characters have. Didn't matter that much in the end though, just needed a little bit of maneuvering, and we're golden. And then after that, the emerald's just on the ground. Next up, Nux. He's gotta destroy some more impact forms, which no doubt have a fat load of challenging platforming necessary to access them. Okay, the first one was easy, but the second one, once again, expects you to have the light dash. Because he can't use that either, I had to glide to these randomly placed pillars, and oh, there it is. And the Chaos Emerald was placed at the end of this fun gliding challenge. You know, in the week between recording this session and writing the script, I remember having a lot of trouble with this one crazy section in particular, but I guess I was just remembering wrong. Anyway, now we're playing as the dog. The game expects you to kill this tank boss with wrenches. Screw you, I'm taking a different path. I found this one with a bunch of balloons. Seems easy enough, except for the fact that the wrench disables your homing attack and the balloons don't reset your flight meter. So with that also out of the question, I just got really high up and flew to where the Coco device was. It was locked in a cage and I had to destroy a few cans to open it. Alright, that's one. Second one is at the end of this thing. Pretty easy until suddenly I needed to hit a purple chest spot and didn't have the right move, meaning I needed to get more chips. If there were no reward tree for this tedious path I've chosen here, I certainly would have walked away by now. I found one camper that gave me 5 points worth of chips, but all the others I could find could only be accessed by the skinless echidna, and I needed 15 points. I eventually just started cycling the ground, and then I realized that would take forever, so I kept looking. I eventually found what I needed. After getting past that part, the rest of it was activating switches to turn on fans. This could have been fun if you didn't need to recharge the side blaster every 5 uses. After getting through that, it was time to get the 6th emerald. It starts with figuring out how to even start. It's all the way up there. Even the top of this pyramid can't get me anywhere where I could see it. I tried screwing around on the nearby structures and eventually found where the emerald was hiding. A few green rings that would shuttle me towards it. It all seemed to connect to... oh god. This is the part I was talking about that I had a lot of trouble with. It's kind of like the way to get to Knuckles' emerald, only instead of being short and fun, it's long and grueling. The first segment has you flying into green rings while destroying these purple things in some unholy combination of Galaxy Force 2 and the Atari port of Zaxxon. The purple things will occasionally spin themselves around so they become invulnerable. This happens in basically every Sonic game that has them, but it feels like they spin around far longer and more often than normal. Then there's this part with a ramp. It doesn't give you enough height or distance to get you to these rings, so I had to use these blocks over here. You'd expect this to be some sort of an aha moment, but it felt more like cheating than anything. I really don't think you're supposed to climb things like this. After that, you have to hit these switches to open ceilings and disable electric fields so you can get shot out of these cannons and go higher. Except most of the time you can't even disable the lasers, so I just damage boosted through them. For this last one, however, it was hard to even find the switch that opens the ceiling. I tried everything, looked from top to bottom to find the right switch, until I finally tried this one all the way over here. I didn't check it earlier because I was worried that by the time I got to the cannon, if that one was the right one, the ceiling would have already shut itself back. But no, it was the right one. And now everyone's got another emerald, and it's back to Sonic for... I think I'm out of songs that scream why. At least it was quick. And now it's time for a 5th tower. This is getting ridiculous. And Sonic says this whole adventure was easy.
Almost too easy.
That's not worrying in the slightest. And this final tower has it all. Cannons, weird slopes, purple things, platforms that bob up and down, bullet hell, everything. except fans. It wasn't that bad. It took a decent amount of tries, no doubt, but it wasn't hard.
As for something that was hard, the final trial. Master King Coco
Wow, somebody's feeling high and mighty.
says he'll give you infinite power if you best this one, and it's a boss rush. Giganto, Wyvern, and Knight, all just 400 rings total, and you can only parry with perfect timing. That last part made the first two bosses a lot more fun, whereas the Knight was already a deal and a half without the handicap. And again, all three in just 400 rings, and your ring count carries over between fights, and cyclooping doesn't give you any extra, and you have to reach the Titan's Emeralds again. This session lasted 4 hours, the longest out of all of them, and half of that was just this trial. Even after setting the difficulty to easy, which makes your parries last about 3 seconds rather than a third of 1, it still took me forever. Suddenly, things that I never thought twice of in the first two battles, like Giganto's laser and the insane amount of time it takes for Wyvern to give you a chance to attack, or the difference between life and death. The amount of times I died to a Titan went from 1, the first time fighting a Wyvern because I didn't know how to parry, to God knows how many. And when I revengeance the Knight for the third and hopefully last time, and Master King Coco gave me his ultimate power, it was time for me to go to bed.
Supreme! A multi-phase boss combining tricks from every previous stage boss and Titan for one ultimate, hour-long, insanely difficult showdown as Giganto again.
Yep, the final battle is just Supreme again. Makes sense, this is supposed to be an alternate route to Aranos Island, so ending with this exact same Supreme fight makes sense, but only if you assume whoever's playing jumped straight into another story right after being Raya Island. And that would be quite the rude awakening. And for normal players, this is just underwhelming. Wait a minute. Alright, second phase. The moon connected itself with Supreme and it's healing it. There's these orbs that can only be parried with the timing you had to deal with in Master King Coco's trial. Good thing I forgot to set the difficulty back. Problem is you can't deal enough damage to counter the thing's healing. I tried, trust me. But no matter what, during Sonic's cooldown animation, he gives it just enough time to heal all the way back up. When I died, the loading screen told me there was a way to sever the connection, but I couldn't figure out how to do it without looking it up. Turns out, you're expected to remember that you can switch between targets when attacking.
I've never had to do that before.
Alright, now that that's taken care of, just bring it down to half health, you yank its gun out, and just let it sit there while you keep pulling him. Oh, come on! Alright, start on the whole phase again. I guess same thing again, but this time don't screw out the gun until it's out of health. Then, with the help of woman, dog, skinless, ghost, and Robotnik, you lose your effing emeralds. The end. Good night, everybody. Sonic died again. No, he didn't. He just gets the emeralds back and you pummel Supreme to death with no resistance. I am done. No more. No more. That's it. There's more I could talk about. I'm not gonna. Sonic sucks now. The end. Goodbye. Never mind. There's no love in fame. Yeah, start again. And all right back again. Survival is no friend. Death I don't wanna come. Remember as I love you. Fall away. This will end no other way. It will end no other way. Ugh.